All right, ready to fine-tune those audio skills. Today we're taking a deep dive into becoming a sound mastering engineer. We'll help you prep for those interviews so you can land the job.
We're going to help you take those raw recordings and turn them into, sonic masterpieces. They'll be ready to hit any speaker.
Love that.
Mm.
And we'll tap into RoleCatcher's AI for some extra tips, because knowing how those algorithms think is a game changer for your application.
Like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain. We'll help you figure out what those hiring managers are looking for so you can present yourself as the perfect candidate.
Okay, picture this. You're in the interview, and they ask, can you tell us about your experience with different mastering software? Now I'm thinking just rattling off names won't cut it.
That's totally not.
Yeah.
They want to know what tools you're comfortable with. Like, are you a pro with Pro Tools or Steinberg Wavelab? But it's more than just knowing the names.
Right, anyone can open the software. What matters is what you do with it.
Exactly. Talk about specific times you use different software to nail an effect. Maybe you used a certain plugin in Pro Tools to get that warm vintage vibe. Or your work on Ableton Live boosted streaming numbers.
Showing them you're not just clicking buttons, you're making choices.
Exactly. And be honest, if you've only dabbled in a certain software, just say so. You can even say you're eager to learn more.
Showing that you're always down to grow is a good look. Okay, let's say you've nailed the software question. They come back with, how do you handle a project when a client has very specific requests for the final sound? It feels like a tightrope walk.
It's all about finding that balance between your artistic vision and what the client wants. They want someone who's a team player, a good communicator, and a problem solver.
So being a technical whiz isn't enough. You need people skills too.
Exactly. Start by letting them know you get their vision and want to make it happen. Then tell them about how you get feedback and work it into what you do. Maybe you share drafts and get revisions, or use certain communication tools to keep everyone on the same page.
So it's a journey for everyone, not just about the sound itself.
Exactly. And this is where those stories come in handy. Remember that time a client wanted a retro lo-fi sound for their electronic track? How'd you pull that off?
Yeah, those moments when you had to get creative, those are golden.
Exactly. It shows you can handle those curveballs.
Okay, so we've talked tech skills and working with clients. What's next?
They might ask, what's your experience with working across different music genres? And, listing your favorite Spotify playlists won't cut it here.
Right, because mastering for a heavy metal band is different than, say, a folk song.
They want to see how adaptable you are, how you approach different sounds. Think about it. Mastering a heavy metal track needs a different touch than a folk song.
Right, you wouldn't want to over-polish a punk rock song.
Exactly. This is where you show them you get those nuances and can adapt. Instead of saying, oh, I've worked on pop, rock, and jazz, go deeper.
For example, you could say, I love the energy of rock music, so I focus on making the guitars and drums sound huge.
Perfect. Or mastering classical music is all about preserving those natural acoustics. And if you can bring in your own career journey, even better.
So someone new to this might talk about how they're building their skills across genres. Someone more experienced might talk about their niche or mentoring others.
That's it. Connect those experiences to what the job needs. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI comes in.
Okay, let's talk about that. How can our listeners use that to their advantage here?
RoleCatcher can look at tons of job descriptions for sound mastering engineers really quickly and see what genres pop up the most.
So if a lot of postings mention hip-hop or audiobooks, to highlight those in an interview.
Right. It's about putting yourself in the best position. But don't exaggerate your experience in a genre you barely know.
Right. No need to act like you're a country music expert if you're really into metal.
Exactly. It's okay to be honest about what you love and even mention genres you want to explore. Shows you're curious.
So to sum up, show off how adaptable you are, how you understand different genres, and be genuinely into the music. Okay, I'm ready for the next challenge. What else is there?
This one goes back to audio basics. Ready? Tell me about your experience with analog and digital equipment. And before you grab your vinyl collection.
Don't we all have one?
Right. But seriously, it's not about showing off how much gear you know. It's about knowing how they sound different, their good and bad points. They want to know you're well-rounded.
Because analog and digital are kind of like two different languages.
That's a great way to put it. Analog equipment can give you a warmth that's hard to get digitally, but digital is super precise, flexible, and you can edit easily.
Like the difference between a handwritten letter and a perfectly formatted email. Both have their place.
I love that. So when they ask, show them, both worlds. Talk about specific gear, both analog and digital, that you like using and why.
Those details make you more interesting,
Absolutely. But pay attention to the job description. If they really want someone with analog mastering experience, don't go on and on about your digital skills.
So tailor to the job, got it.
Exactly. Highlight your experience with both, but emphasize what fits the job.
Got it. Show them I'm well-rounded, talk about what I like using, but don't go overboard on one or the other. Okay, what other audio challenges await?
All right, imagine this. You've just finished a track. It sounds amazing in the studio, but then you hear it on your phone and...
Disaster, right. We've all been there. Why is that such a big deal for a mastering engineer?
Because these days, people listen to music everywhere, so consistency matters. It's not just about sounding good in a fancy studio. It's got to sound good everywhere.
So they want to know you can avoid that dreaded car test fail when a mix sounds off in a different environment.
Exactly. They're looking for someone who really gets acoustics, frequencies, and how to master for different listening situations.
Okay, where do we start? Should we talk about specific gear?
Definitely mention how important it is to have a neutral listening space in the studio. Calibrated monitors are key here.
Right, you need a reliable starting point.
Yes. Then talk about how you check your work on different systems. Do you have a go-to set of headphones or speakers you use to simulate different scenarios? Any software plugins for analyzing different environments?
So I could say something like, I always listen on different speakers, even car stereos and phones, to make sure it translates well.
Exactly. You could even mention comparing your mix to commercially successful tracks. It shows you know what sounds good everywhere.
And I bet this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be a big help.
Absolutely. It can analyze job descriptions and see which playback systems are most important for a particular company or role.
So if I'm applying to a company that makes audio for video games, I should highlight my experience with optimizing sound for headphones and small speakers.
Exactly. Show them you understand their needs. Now, don't just say, I make sure it sounds good everywhere.
Right, because that's like saying I have magic powers.
Right. They want a clear process, an understanding of the challenges, and how you make sure things sound consistent.
Got it. I'll emphasize the neutral listening environment, explain my process for checking across platforms, and back it up with examples. This interview prep is no joke.
And that's the point, right? They want to see you're serious. Okay, ready for the next one. This time, it's all about vocals.
Okay, I'm listening. Vocals can make or break a song. What do I need to know?
The interviewer might ask, tell me about your experience working with vocal tracks. And this isn't about how well you sing karaoke. It's about showing your skill as a mastering engineer.
Because vocals, they carry the emotion of the song.
They want to know you can handle those nuances. Can you smooth out those S sounds without making the voice dull? Can you make it warm and present without burying it in the mix?
It's like a balancing act.
That's a great way to put it. When you answer, talk about your experience with different vocal processing techniques. Mention things like equalization, compression, de-essing.
So I could say, I think vocals should blend in, not overpower. I use EQ to make them clear and present, and some gentle compression to even things out.
Perfect. You're describing your approach and your style. You can even talk about working with different vocal styles and genres. A powerful rock vocal and a delicate jazz vocal are different beasts.
You got to adjust your approach, right? Match the energy and feeling.
Exactly. Showing them you can handle those different styles is important. Now, a couple of things to avoid. Don't oversell yourself.
Right. I'm not going to promise to make them sound like Adele.
And don't say you have some magic formula for fixing vocals. Every voice is different.
It's about making each voice sound its best, not making everyone sound the same.
Exactly. So, to wrap up, show off your technical skills, talk about your experience, and be honest about what you can do.
This deep dive is amazing. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of this career path.
That's what we're here for. Okay, ready for another challenge? This one's about how you stay organized and creative at the same time. Okay, get ready to talk about formats because they might ask, can you talk about your experience mastering for different formats like vinyl versus streaming?
The classic debate. Why is this such a big deal for mastering engineers?
It's about adaptability. Vinyl has that warmth, but it has limitations. Streaming, well, it's all about loudness for those earbuds. You can't treat them the same.
So mastering isn't one size fits all.
Exactly. Each format is like its own sonic world. A good engineer knows how to make each track shine, no matter how someone's listening.
Okay, how do we tackle this question? Should we take each format one by one?
I like that. Let's start with vinyl. Talk about your experience and what's unique about it. Things like stereo imaging, groove depth, getting that warmth.
So I might say with vinyl, I'm really careful about the stereo image, making sure it sounds great on a turntable. I also pay attention to loudness and dynamic range because of the format's limits.
Perfect. You're showing them you understand vinyl. You could even mention different cutting lengths and how they affect the sound.
It's those little things, right, for the true audiophile.
Exactly. Now, streaming. Here, you want to talk about loudness normalization, knowing your codecs, getting that competitive loudness without smashing the dynamics.
So I might say, when I master for streaming, I'm thinking about those loudness standards.
Yeah.
Like on Spotify. I want it to be loud, but still sound full and dynamic, not squashed.
Well said. And mention how those different codecs on each platform affect your approach.
Got to get technical. Any pitfalls to avoid here?
Don't put down any format. Even if you love vinyl, stay neutral and show you can work with anything.
No vinyl is king speeches.
Exactly. Be a pro, show you can adapt, focus on your skills and your flexibility.
Got it. Show them I get each format, highlight my experience, and be professional. This is intense.
And that's good. It shows you're taking it seriously. Now let's move from the technical stuff to something a bit more, about staying organized.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I love a good to-do list. What's the question?
Imagine they ask you, how do you handle a big workload?
Deadlines and creativity, a classic struggle. Why is this so important for a sound mastering engineer?
Because this industry moves fast. You'll be juggling projects, each with its own deadlines and clients. They need to know you can stay organized and deliver.
So it's about being reliable, not just talented.
Exactly. This is your chance to show off your organizational skills. What systems do you use? Are you into time blocking or maybe a project management software?
I'm all about my color-coded calendar, but I'm guessing there's more to it these days.
There are tons of tools out there. Trello, Asana, you name it. Just highlight what works for you, a system that helps you hit those deadlines.
So I could say, I make sure I understand each project's scope and deadlines, then break big tasks into smaller ones. I use a project management tool to track everything and stay on top of deadlines, even when there are unexpected revisions.
Perfect. And mention how you keep your clients in the loop. Communication is key for managing expectations.
Right, nobody likes those last-minute scrambles.
Exactly. Being open and proactive with communication is so important. Now, don't give them generic answers like, I work well under pressure.
Because everyone says that.
Exactly. Back it up with real examples of how you've handled multiple projects, tough deadlines, unexpected challenges.
Got it. I'll be ready with my success stories. What's next on our list?
Let's talk about teamwork. Mastering, like a lot of creative work, isn't always a solo thing. You'll work with other engineers, producers, artists, and they'll all have their own ideas.
And navigating those different opinions can be tricky. How do we show them we're not just good with sound, but good with people too?
Question number 9 gets right to that. How do you approach collaborating with other engineers, producers, or artists?
Okay, I'm ready to put on my teamwork hat. What's the best approach here?
Start by showing them you're open to collaboration. Do you like sharing your work in progress? Do you ask for feedback? Value other people's input?
It's about listening, not just being right.
Exactly. This is a good time to mention any collaborative tools you use, like cloud-based DWs or project management software where you can give feedback in real time.
And so I could say, I think communication is key. I like using mention-specific tools to share files, get feedback, and make sure everyone's in the loop.
Love it. Shows you're tech-savvy and organized.
And speaking of communication, how do we handle those tricky conversations when there are creative differences?
That's where those interpersonal skills come in. Talk about how you give and receive constructive criticism.
So I could add something like, I try to give feedback that's clear, specific, and helps us get the best sound, and I'm always open to hearing feedback and using it.
Perfect. Collaboration is a two-way street. Show them you can handle both sides of that. And if you have any stories about collaborations that led to some great results, share those.
Because those moments when everyone's ideas come together, those are powerful.
Absolutely. It shows you can be part of a team and achieve more together.
Okay, we've covered so much. Technical skills, working with clients, handling different genres, being a team player. What else makes a sound mastering engineer stand out?
This next one, it's about, finding that balance, being creative, but also having a system.
I can relate to that. Structure versus going with the flow. Why is that so important in this field?
Because mastering, it's technical, right, but it's also artistic. You want that polished sound, but each track should be unique.
So they don't want someone who just uses the same presets over and over.
Exactly. They want to see that you've got a process, but you can still be creative. So think about how you approach a session. Any pre-mastering rituals? Maybe you set up your workspace a certain way.
I always make sure my listening environment is, like, spotless, everything calibrated. And sometimes I'll even light a scented candle just to set the mood.
Love that. Those little details are great. You can also talk about how you structure your sessions. Do you break things down into stages? Have a specific time for editing, for balancing, for those final touches?
So I could say I like to break my process into stages. It helps me stay organized, editing, balancing, sweetening, finalizing. That way I can still experiment within each stage.
Perfectly said. And don't be afraid to share what keeps you from burning out, creatively speaking. Maybe you listen to different genres, find inspiration from other art forms, or just take breaks.
Got to recharge those creative batteries.
Exactly. Now, just a heads up, find that balance when you're answering. Show them you're structured, but you can think outside the box too.
No admitting to using the same preset every time. Got it.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot. Consistency and creativity working together.
This has been amazing. We talked about so much the technical side, working with clients, different genres, teamwork. But we've got one more trick up our sleeve, right?
Always. Don't forget about RoleCatcher's AI. It's not just about knowing the questions, it's about making those answers stand out to those applicant tracking systems.
Like a secret code for getting your resume noticed. So how do we use it to our advantage?
RoleCatcher can scan a job description in seconds and highlight the keywords and skills they're looking for. Use those terms naturally in your answers.
So if they want someone with analog mastering experience or Dolby Atmos skills, RoleCatcher would pick those out.
Exactly. It's not about stuffing your answers with keywords. It's about showing you understand those skills and how they fit the job. And here's the cool part. RoleCatcher helps you quantify your achievements. Remember those success stories we talked about? RoleCatcher's Resume Builder can help you frame those in a way that really highlights your impact.
So instead of I mastered an album, it's I mastered an album that hit #1 on the charts.
Now you're getting it. Show them your value. But remember, RoleCatcher is a tool. Your passion, your skills, your enthusiasm, those are what really make you stand out.
It's that human element that really makes a difference.
Absolutely. Use RoleCatcher to help you prepare, but don't forget to let your own experience and personality shine through.
This deep dive has been incredible. We really dug into what it takes to be a sound mastering engineer. All the skills, the creative challenges, how to work with people.
We gave you the tools and the know-how to walk into those interviews feeling confident and ready.
So, to everyone listening, remember, preparation is key, but so is passion. Let that passion shine through, and you'll be well on your way to landing that dream job.
Go out there and make some magic.